Welcome back to Football Daily. It's lovely to have you along with Dave and Adam. We're talking about the 5 talking points from the weekend, and later on we'll be answering your questions. Let's get down to it. We're going to start with Manchester City and Chelsea. Let's talk Frank Lamps first. Franco Lampo, Fran Lam. He scored a goal.
He did score a goal, and his performance was pretty decent when he came on, but obviously I quite like that he didn't celebrate the goal. Been a Chelsea player for a number of years. The Chelsea fans and the City fans both applauded him off the pitch. So yeah, it was a good performance from Frank.
Frank was all right, and at the back, Mangala putting in a very good performance.
So he's a perfect partner for Company.
Yeah.
Nice and quick behind. Had a certain Alex Broom tweet me comparing Mangala to Robocop. And I think that was a perfect way of quick across the ground. You know, he won his tackles, won 4 tackles. No player on the pitch won more, won 6 aerial duels. I think that was 3 times than anyone else. Just dominated the opposition really. No mercy.
Robocop good, and no mercy. That's why it's like Robocop. I didn't know. Maybe Robocop's good at aerial duels.
Maybe he is.
1-1 in the end, probably serving both sides quite well.
I'd say a very big result for Chelsea. They just needed to not lose the game, and that'd be great for their title credentials. And that's what they did. It was really strange when they were with a man up, how they didn't dominate the ball more. Man City, you'd say, dominated the 90 minutes of football, with Chelsea just providing the odd counter-attack here, and they obviously scored a brilliant goal on the break. Eden Hazard very involved in that. I just think it's really interesting that they're not a classic side. I wouldn't say they can defend and they can sort of keep possession of the ball and dominate teams that way. So it's very much going to be a dogged Premier League, I think.
That's quite interesting, isn't it, Adam? The point is getting a result. And we know that Chelsea are really good at that. We know that City are really good at that. And that could be the difference this season, is getting a result ahead of playing the incredible football.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's what Mourinho does every time there's a big game. You saw it last season, and it worked very well for him. Setting up to defend, playing on the counter-attack. They beat City, they beat Liverpool like that. So I think you'd expect to see the same this season, and that could be what's going to win them the league.
Let's go to Italy. Not literally, but it was 1-0 to Juve away at Giuseppe Meazza in San Siro. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you saw why Juventus been the champions 3 years running. I think there was a bit of a golfing class for me. I think Milan, they've been impressive this season so far under Filippo Inzaghi, but Juventus have got so much class going forward.
I think that defensively they were brilliant, Milan, for most of the game. But I think it was just that when they lost that goal, they were so solid. They're defending deep with a 4-5-1, Menez dropping in, playing a sort of false 9, and he's been really good this season. I think he's top scorer in Serie A this season with Tevez, equal goals, but they're really solid, and that's nice to see again. Italian sides being able to defend. That's what we want again. We need Italian football to come up, rise like the phoenix. At the moment, it's you could say Ligue 1 is a better league than Serie A in a way.
In a way. Maybe entertainment-wise. I agree about the quality in Serie A as well. Maybe we're seeing that the financial bubble has slightly burst in Italy, and especially at AC Milan, where they are no longer supported by the sugar daddy that was Silvio Berlusconi, and in that sense they were in their own bubble for quite a while.
You'd say, well, I'd say surely it's more competitive though, because like you say, in Milan they have looked good this season. They got Menez up front, Sciarri and Honda, who look pretty good going forward. So you've got them, you've got Juventus, obviously Roma playing well, Inter Milan are there, whereas in France you've got PSG, who they're going to walk the title there again. But it's good to see Milan, like I said, they did look at more solid defensively. They've been awful defence for a number of years, so I think it's encouraging for Milan fans, because last season they were 8th. I think they were miles behind Juventus, so at least there's encouraging signs.
But Milan have somewhat lost that identity that they once had. Do you remember just at 2005 was maybe a classic Milan side under Carlo Ancelotti. 2007 they were slightly on the wane by that point. They got Ibrahimovic in. Those were good years for Milan.
It's like you say, it's not the same. The sugar daddy's not there, the money's not there. But I think with Inzaghi there, he said he's gonna rebuild a new DNA for Milan. Someone there who's a legend of the club. It can only be good for them, I think.
Liverpool caught blowing bubbles against West Ham. Not particularly impressive was the conclusion from the match, but West Ham quite good.
It's weird, isn't it? Weird to see a Sam Allardyce team playing some actual decent football. They have done for the last few games. Against Hull it was very exciting, a few goals there. So yeah, all credit to him. Stuart Downing was sort of running the show there, wasn't he?
Stuart Downing marked Steven Gerrard out the game and managed to get beyond that back 4 and back 3.
There you go. I think for Liverpool though, it's worrying. It's their 3rd defeat in the first 5 games, which obviously isn't ideal. And Brendan Rodgers came out and said Champions League football is having an effect. It disrupted their rhythm from last season. We were talking about how they had a week to prepare for every game, gave them an advantage in the league. But yeah, you look at this game now, you look at last week, the loss against Villa, Rodgers rested a few players in anticipation of the Champions League game, and that had an effect and they lost there. So it is Rodgers' first season in the Champions League, so I think it's going to take some adjustment for him and the team. but it's worrying that the performance wasn't there, and without Sturridge that they look so blunt.
They just look a bit flat, don't they, Liverpool, really?
Sterling's the most impressive player in that side right now.
But then he's got to carry the whole team in a way.
I think there's teething problems there, because you do see Liverpool play good football. They have brought in a lot of players, but I don't think that's the problem.
I'd say it is.
You see, I feel Liverpool are also slightly let down by Mignolet at times.
Yeah, the back four's not been sorted either. Lovren started well, but now he's sort of dropping back into a period of bit poor form. Sacco, the header for the third goal, was absolutely atrocious. They're Stuart down and capitalising on that and playing a brilliant through ball, I have to say.
Yeah.
But no, for Liverpool, it's going to take time, I think, with the Champions League as well. It's going to be difficult for them. They've got to go to Basel and get a result.
Let's talk about the yellow wall of Dortmund. Has the wall fallen?
It's worrying the lack of consistency there against Arsenal. They looked so impressive, but I think the problem was they could have won that game 7-8-0 or something like that. Their finishing was a little bit off. I think that was the problem again for them against Mainz. I think, you know, Adrian Ramos missed 2 really good chances, Immobile missed the penalty sort of thing, so you need to take your chances or you're going to get punished, and they did.
So is that why it's not so worrying for them?
Yeah, like, I think with the Arsenal game, they blew them away and they were very high octane. They used a lot of energy in that game and sort of went to Mainz. They dictated the play. They had a lot of the ball. The 2 centre-backs completed the most passes, Socrates and Ginter. But they didn't, like we say, and Adrian Ramos missed, you know, the chances that he should be putting away. Hit the post as well. He's got to be scoring those. Piszczek looked really good going down the right, but then there was no one to just finish off the moves. No Marco Reus or no, you know, Lewandowski, who's off the Bayern now.
Yeah.
Would have taken those chances and would have scored them. Potentially, you could say against Arsenal that could have been 5-0 with Lewandowski in the side.
But the creation of chances means that in the end they will put some of those away, right? And that's encouraging.
You know, it was a chance for them to sort of step above Munich, because Munich dropped points they drew, of course, so they could have, you know, leapfrogged them in the table. So it's a little bit disappointing, but you know, it'll be interesting to see if they can push Bayern Munich for the title this season.
The Catalonians, Barcelona, 5-0 against Levante.
Yeah.
Domination. Messi looked exceptional. He scored a ridiculous chip over the goalkeeper. Lovely. And there's a great replay where the player just watches it go over him.
Yeah.
It's like watching an aeroplane. It was lovely.
It was good. He looked like he was picking his nose, and he reacted really quickly.
Sure.
But yeah, it's really impressive. He scored, but also I think this season as well, he's almost more of a playmaker. You know, he made 2 assists yesterday as well. He was assisted Neymar last week. So it's very impressive for Barcelona. I think it's 4 games now. They've scored 11, haven't conceded once. So they're, I think it's 6 points clear of Madrid already, 4 points clear of Atletico, and it's a league of fine margins. So I think, you know, it bodes well for them. Luis Enrique has got them playing really well. So
started clicking, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Neymar-Messi relationship, is that finally kicking off now? The pass for that first Neymar goal was absolutely brilliant. But he is human, isn't he? Missed the penalty.
He missed the penalty, yeah, and he looked surprised. He was almost like, I thought that was...
that was a goal.
That was a goal. Can we make that one a goal? And then Suarez still to come back, so it's even more...
Yeah, exactly.
That's ridiculous.
I think Rakitic has continued his form.
That great strike from Rakitic.
Yeah, brilliant goal.
Yeah. And he offers more to that midfield as well. I think he's filled a hole there that Barcelona have had on that side for a little while, that Messi, arguably last season, was trying to drift in from at times, and it wasn't working so well. Now they've got someone there. So now we're answering some of your questions. Alex George asked the first question, which was, can United finish in the top 4?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Attacking firepower. It's going to score a lot of goals this season, I think, United. I think they need a leader at the back. There's no one there at the moment. We looked quite solid when Johnny Evans was playing. I think Johnny Evans is stepping up and becoming that leader, but injured again. So you can't obviously rely on people like that. I don't think Wayne Rooney's he isn't captain material. After the third goal that went in for Leicester, the Cambiasso goal, he was there shouting at everyone. He had 2 opportunities to clear the ball in that move, so he's got to shout at himself in a way. No leaders. You need leaders. Falcao looks excellent. Di Maria looks excellent. And Herrera looks really good. Daley Blind started very well. Didn't look as great yesterday, but you know, I think we're top 4. Yes.
The no Champions League factor.
Yes.
Yeah. He did concede 5. You can ask me the next question.
So, will Bradley Wright-Phillips break the MLS scoring record?
Coming back off this injury, right, he got a hat-trick, his 3rd hat-trick in the MLS. Turns out the MLS is a league.
Yeah,
you know that? Yeah,
it's a good league.
Yeah, it's a good league. It is a really good league, which a lot of people overlook. Anyway, back to Brad.
Oh, sorry.
Arguably languished in the English leagues, but has gone to the MLS and lit things up alongside Thierry Henry in a New York Red Bulls team that look very impressive. So the current record is 27, obviously, and it's currently owned by Lassiter and Chris Wondolowski. 5 games left to go, he can definitely do that, right?
So Lawrence, will Torres succeed at AC Milan?
It's all about strikers this week. I think he will, but I don't know what success counts as for Torres. That's the question, is what is success for Fernando Torres at AC Milan? Is it getting back to form? Is it just scoring goals for them? Is it fitting in with the system? There's a lot of different ways to measure the success for Fernando Torres this season, and I think especially with the side who's arguably either in transition or in catastrophe half the time, you've got a tricky one there. He's arguably under a coach that understands being a striker, but then he was such an unusual striker, Filippo Inzaghi, in that he was always offside, not really the Fernando-esque striker. Is he the right coach to bring him back to form? You know, is he going to be able to get the best out of Torres as we know the best of Torres?
If you're looking at strikers in Serie A, Luca Toni, 36, scored 20 goals last season. So you've got to think Fernando Torres has got to be on that level. You'd look at, but then with Menez playing so well this season, is Torres going to start week in, week out? Probably not.
But that's disappointing for Torres. I feel like Torres, he should be at a team where he starts every week. And I wonder, is Milan the right move for him, or is it one where Chelsea wanted to offload and he thinks he can do well?
So that's exactly it, isn't it, really?
Well, thank you very much for your questions. Some good questions in there, I thought, this week. Yeah, if you've got any more, then leave them in the comments below or tweet us at FootballDailyUK. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next week. David, it was lovely to have you.
Cheers.
Alana, lovely to have you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. That's football.